Well, we're at 10:02, so let's go ahead and get started. Again, everyone, welcome to the NEMSIS V3 implementation call, Wednesday, April 8th, 2026. Can't believe it's already April, although I'm not sure yet if the year is crawling along or flying by. So I guess that's a good thing. Um, Hope everyone's weather is working, is good for them. Here in Minnesota, it's been up and down with temperatures. Finally, we got some warm weather coming at the end of the week, so we're pretty excited. All right. One last reminder, just make sure you get your screen name, that it's your name with your affiliation. Scan the QR code for your attendance. We'll get started with Mr. John Britt with stakeholder introductions. John, if you would please.
Thank you. I am going to steal the screen. All right. So as we normally do, as I normally do, but that would be a stakeholder introduction, but I don't have one. So if you've submitted a form to be introduced, I haven't gotten it. So please reach out to me and we can fix that. And if you've not, I will put a link in the chat so that you can complete the stakeholder introduction form to be introduced. The QR code that's being shown right now is just one more chance for those of you who are just now joining to be able to go ahead, for the vendors who are just now joining, to go ahead and do the attendance form. But since I don't have anybody to introduce, we will continue with our employee spotlights. And literally, the luck of the draw this week was Casey. Um, so, Casey, I will be doing your employee spotlight. So these are hobbies that you gave us when you first arrived here, and I introduced you. You were archery, building Lego creations with his daughters, woodworking, and going on adventures with his wife. Now, I will say his daughters have grown quite a bit since this picture, and I wonder if they still build Legos, but it would be good to hear. Um, Something interesting that you told us about, that you love cooking, but not necessarily from recipes. That you're an active firefighter for nearly 20 years and you are a youth soccer coach. And I found an actor to portray you using my deep connections in IMDb or Chat GPT, as it were, to have some great pictures of you. Something others may not know, you worked in farming as a telecom field tech and at one point as a Maynard's sales associate. I've been told that Maynard's is a pretty big chain. I've never seen or heard of them, but I've heard that they're pretty big in the Midwest. Key responsibilities within NEMSIS or at NEMSIS, well, he develops the agency level education and guidance documentation, facilitates the EPCR users group, reviews and assigns help desk tickets, and he also works with the change request committee to push change requests through the system. Not actor portrayals. Here are some more current pictures of Casey and his family. Looks like he and his wife are on a couple adventures. Is that Mayan ruins in the background? Um, and his daughters have grown quite a bit. But thank you for letting me pick on you for a minute, Casey, and explain a little bit more of who we are. And if I don't have anybody to introduce next week, we'll continue with our employee spotlights. But that's all I have.
All right, John, thank you for that. And thank you for picking an actor portrayal that makes me look very, very, very attractive. Yes, the pictures, the one was Mayan ruins in Tulum, and then we had in Salt Lake City was one of the other ones.
Cool.
So very cool. Thank you for that.
Hmm?
And my kids do still enjoy doing Legos. So
That's awesome.
all right. Thank you again, John. So next up we have Mr. Gam Wijetunge from NHTSA's Office of EMS to talk about the SS4A grant information. So again, if you would please, sir.
Thank you. And I'm going to do a screen share here if I can. Give me half a sec. Great. And if I could just get a thumbs up that my screen share is coming through.
Yep.
Thank you. All right. Good morning, everyone. Just want to take a few minutes, and I appreciate the time to talk with you all about the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant program. But I first want to highlight a few key points that SS4A is going to be supporting. Pre-hospital blood transfusion is a priority for this administration and for the NHTSA Administrator, Jonathan Morrison, as well as the rest of DOT leadership. And the reason is that nationally, when we look at our fatality data after crashes, pretty consistently year to year, 40% of our fatally injured crash victims in the United States are still alive when EMS arrives on the scene. So it represents a unique opportunity to improve survival. And pre-hospital blood transfusion, we know through research and other partners that are implementing it throughout the country right now, can dramatically improve survival of these crash victims. And that's why NHTSA and the U.S. Department of Transportation are investing significant resources to support rapid nationwide adoption of this intervention over the next 2 years. Currently in the United States, as of about a week ago, we have over 360 pre-hospital blood transfusion programs in the country. But that's 365 out of roughly 8,000 ALS agencies that are in the nation. And we're really only covering about 3% of U.S. counties right now. So we have a lot of work to do, and that's why we're investing resources such as SS4A to move this intervention forward. And let me see if I can. Why is blood transfusion so important? Many of you have probably seen what local communities are doing, and just briefly, we see dramatic stories of survival. And I'll just present one example from a few years ago in Colorado Springs, Colorado, where this was publicly reported, an 8-year-old boy was struck by a car. And when EMS arrived on the scene, he was unconscious, responsive only to pain, had multiple fractures, pelvic fractures, a femur fracture, pulmonary contusion, and a blood pressure of 58/43. EMS Colorado Springs, thankfully, was doing pre-hospital blood transfusion. They initiated transfusion on this patient within 7 minutes of him being struck, and he regained consciousness prior to arrival at the hospital and was discharged alive 2 weeks later. I have a clinical background. I've been a responder. I'm an active paramedic, and I've been doing that for over 30 years. I've run many patients like this in my 30-year career. I've run, unfortunately, too many kids that have been injured in crashes. And patients presenting with these vital signs, I've never seen them in my 30 years. I've never seen a patient survive that was presenting the same way. And with blood, we see these types of patients surviving again and again and again. So I am going to talk a little bit about data before I get into SS4A. But I just do want to drive home the point that the work that you all do with ensuring quality data collection, particularly for these patients, is a key driver in getting this intervention, this life-saving intervention, out to the rest of the country. At the direction of our administrator and our leadership, we are very tightly focused on blood transfusion right now. And I just want to share with you all the data at the national level that we're paying close attention to. And I would urge you to do the same. Number one, we're trying to accelerate. We're supporting states and locals in adopting this intervention. Adoption is happening very fast right now. As I said, we had anticipated 250 programs by the end of this calendar year. We are already over 350. But kids are age 0 to 14 are 0 to 14-year-old children are a population that we are very focused on with our federal partners. We want to try and get this intervention to save as many children as possible. Nationally, in the United States, about 1,000 kids die every year. So that's 3 children every day that die in crashes. And out of those 3 children dying every day in a crash, typically about 2 of those kids will survive initial impact and will still be alive when EMS arrives on the scene. So that is a burden, dealing with those deaths. That is a burden that our field providers deal with really for the rest of their lives. And getting blood to those children, we think we could be looking at, rather than 3 fatalities a day, we could turn that into 2 fatalities a day. So there's a potential to save many children. The children from the age of 0 to 14, roughly speaking, we're probably talking around 600 kids a year. And right now we are just shy of 5% of those kids getting blood. We want to increase that number. We also want to ensure that we have good outcomes data on all of those children aged 0 to 14. We are very focused on increasing capture of those outcomes data at national level. And quite frankly, we rely on you at the state, local, and level, our partners, to try and drive that number up so that we have better outcomes data on these children. And then finally, pre-arrival instructions. So we know that to increase survival, if you call 911, if a bystander calls 911, 911 needs to be prepared to provide that bystander with pre-arrival instructions such as stop the bleed or telephone CPR. Unfortunately, those numbers are not where we need them to be right now. Just to give you perspective, out of the 5,500 PSAPs in the country, our most recent estimate is only about 43% are even EMD capable right now. So the vast majority of PSAPs do not have any protocolized way of providing instructions to bystanders so that we can save these kids. So our goal in 2026 is to get about 25% of those 0 to 14-year-olds receiving pre-arrival instructions according to our NEMSIS data. We think a big gap here right now is improving CAD to EPCR integration so that we're automatically capturing that data, but also working with the PSAPs to support them in becoming EMD capable and then sharing that data back. So let me just pause for a second and just see if anyone has any questions on these strategic goals that my office is tracking right now. And I'm always happy to come back as well. But let me move to the next slide. I know all of you have heard about this. Of course, we're paying close attention to actually identifying patients that are receiving blood. And so working with our partners to ensure that they are using the NASEMSO best practices for blood documentation is important. So if the patient receives blood, we need to ensure that clinicians are entering data in e-procedures 03 and e-medications 03. So here's the opportunity to help our partners drive this forward to get blood to the right patients, to provide them with pre-arrival instructions, and also to improve their data collection, to improve data linkage with the trauma data sets, as well as to improve HIE integration. SS4A, there are several examples of existing grantees that have received funds to do exactly that. And the ask, one of many asks for all of you today is to ensure that our state and local partners are aware of this grant program. The Secretary of Transportation just opened the notice of funding opportunity for FY26 on March 27th, and it is only open for 60 days. In the past, it has been open for 90 days, so we are on a very tight deadline for applicants to apply for this program. One of the many reasons it is a unique opportunity for our EMS and 911 partners is that pre-hospital blood transfusion is a priority of the Secretary for SS4A. So any applicants that apply for funds to support pre-hospital blood transfusion, as well as other post-crash care improvements, such as data integration, will be in an advantage when they apply for funds. And there is $999.5 million on the table. So I'll pause here again. I have a QR code up on the screen that will take you directly to the SS4A website. And we just want to ensure that the folks that you work with on a daily basis are aware of this grant program and are aware of the pending May deadline. We really want to get a lot of applicants so that we can support improvements in post-crash care and ultimately get blood into the veins of these kids that need it so we can improve survival across the nation. That's all I have prepared, but there may be some questions. Casey, you're running the show here, so if there are any hands raised, I'm just happy to spend a minute or two answering any questions.
Yeah, we did have one question come in, Gam, in the Q&A. I can read it for you. It's from Lance Iverson in South Dakota. And Lance said that South Dakota just had its first ground ALS ambulance begin their blood program. They've used it once so far. The issue they're running into is blood suppliers. One major vendor refuses to supply whole blood to EMS. As we move forward with adding ALS agencies to carry blood, do you have any suggestions or recommendations on suppliers of whole blood for EMS?
Yeah, so that is a common challenge we hear, is that the biggest lift here is establishing for EMS is putting agreements in place with the blood suppliers. It takes time, it takes relationship development. I would encourage folks, if you're not aware, there is a group called the Prehospital Blood Transfusion Coalition that provides a lot of best practices for how to conduct outreach. And also, if you go to ems.gov, if you give me a minute, I'll put up or actually, Max, if you could put up a link to the infographics that we have in the chat, they might help you with some of the outreach. And I'll also put this offer out here. You can reach out to me or any of my staff at any time if we can be of help in facilitating the outreach to blood banks. We are all ready to do that. At the national level, all the major blood organizations are very supportive of pre-hospital blood transfusion. It's a priority for the America's Blood Centers, for the American Red Cross, and for the AABB. So realize, national support doesn't always bleed down to the local level, but we are always willing to get people on the phone to help facilitate those conversations.
One thing I'll just add real quickly that I think has been successful, and Gam and Max, feel free to jump in here as well. Agencies have partnered with the blood suppliers, EMS agencies, first response agencies, to set up blood drives. They've used stories from the media about how pre-hospital blood transfusion has saved lives, and they've used that to encourage people to come to a fire station, an EMS station, as part of a blood drive. So I think that's another way to encourage relationship building. Supply.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. That is, agencies that are doing this are getting very involved in doing blood drives, and honestly, that's a great dual opportunity to do, for outreach to the local community. So EMS brings a lot to the table here for the blood suppliers. Thanks, Jeremy.
Are there any more questions for Gam or Max or Jeremy?
There isn't a question, Casey, but Jonathan Fight did mention that he's more than able and willing to help others who are interested in submitting their SS4A applications. So I will put his email address in the chat for anyone who's interested. They can reach out to Jonathan as well because he's willing to help and assist.
Very good. Thank you, Bengie.
Maybe one additional thing, Cam. Maybe you mentioned this. I don't remember if you mentioned this or not. But could you and Max maybe talk a little bit about, if you didn't, the change in this fiscal year in FY26 NOFO and how it particularly highlights post-crash care, pre-hospital blood, public safety, infrastructure, when in the past, even though those things were eligible, they were not highlighted and prioritized in the NOFO?
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. Yeah, I encourage everyone to go to the actual NOFO. In that NOFO, the department has defined public safety infrastructure, which is a kind of a unique new definition that we've included in there. So in the NOFO, it's identified that for any applicant that's applying for this roughly $1 billion, for any applicant, even if you're a local Department of Transportation applying for funds, if you include elements of post-crash care in your application, it will give you an advantage when you apply. Essentially, I should pull up the exact quote from the NOFO, but you will score higher in applying. And to your point, Jeremy, public safety infrastructure is very broad. It includes, if you're a local agency that needs to do improvements, even if you're not yet ready or not at the point where you're capable of delivering blood to the scene, if you want to improve the rest of your infrastructure, so bring your 911 center up to be EMD capable, to improve their GIS capabilities, to do things like advanced automatic crash notification, to improve your stop the bleed training for all your responders. All of those pieces in the public safety infrastructure that go towards improving crash survival are eligible. And the grant funds that we're talking about are pretty significant. Just for a planning and demonstration grant, which represents about $300 million of the available funding. For a planning and demonstration grant, in the past, we've seen past applicants get between $2 to $4 million for a planning and demonstration grant. And once you've completed your comprehensive highway safety plan, you can come back and apply for an implementation grant. And the top awards are even much higher than that. So if you have locals that are looking to improve their entire system so they can improve crash survival, all that is on the table. And I would encourage you in your application to talk about those needs, to use your NEMSIS data to identify the patients that are bleeding to death in crashes so that you can show very strong problem identification, and then show how you are going to do comprehensive improvements to your public safety infrastructure to reach those patients in time and provide critical interventions. Jeremy, Max, anything to add?
No, just for reference, Gam, I hope I'm sharing right now a direct link to the Notice of Funding Opportunity and some of the specific text in the Notice of Funding Opportunity that highlights applications and the competitiveness that they have increasing in modernizing public safety infrastructure, including pre-hospital blood transfusion capabilities and improvements of post-crash care. And what's exciting about this from our end is that these were possibilities in the previous applications in prior years, but they were not highlighted as priorities within the notice of funding opportunity, as well as making applications more competitive should they include these types of things. So while we've seen examples of applicants be successful in the past that have incorporated things like post-crash care support, things like emergency medical dispatch support, things like health information exchange support, those things were allowed and those things were acceptable and rewarded. Now it is actually specifically highlighted as a priority, improving your chances for application success.
Thanks, Max. And Max, remind me what the closing deadline is for the NOFO.
I believe it's May 26th, if I'm remembering off the top of my head. And I was also going to scope back onto the notice of funding opportunity where it talks about public safety infrastructure. I think that's right. Sorry, I don't have that, but I believe it's May 26th. Yes. We've typically had 3 months in the past years for these application deadlines, but they've been shrunk to this year to a 2-month application window through the end of May.
Any other questions out there? I don't think I see anything in the comments. Jonathan Fight was confirming it is May 26th is the deadline by 5 p.m. Eastern time. So thank you, Jonathan, for that. Jim, you have anything else to add? Very good. All right. Well, thank you very much. Very informative. It's always an exciting opportunity when we have stuff like this come out. So.
Oh, and yeah, and thank you all for everything you do every day. This is, this is critical work, and yeah, we need your help to get the word out.
All right. Well, we will move on then. Next up, we have Bengie with the maintenance update, and then after that will be Monet with the monthly report. So Bengie, if you are ready, please.
All right, thank you, Casey. As always, our NEMSIS maintenance schedule can be found on our website under technical resources, under NEMSIS maintenance schedule. The dates are here. We are in the month of April, so if you have any issues between the April 15th or April 16th, please be aware that it is a maintenance window. And if you have any other issues outside of those dates, please open up a help desk ticket so we can do our best to assist. And if you have any other questions relating to the NEMSIS maintenance schedule or any other topics, please feel free to open up a help desk ticket. Thank you.
Bengie. Monet, if you are ready with monthly report.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Casey. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, greetings, everyone. Thank you so much for being on the call today. I'm just excited about all of this wonderful information that's coming out of the NHTSA Office of EMS. Thank you, GAM, for sharing that information. I hope we can get that out effectively. So I want to talk a little bit about the monthly report, and that report is under the View Reports tab, Public Reports. So we're going to go there, and then it's this NEMSIS monthly report. Now, the NEMSIS monthly report highlights work and collaboration as well as current initiatives that the NEMSIS TAC is working on. The report is not all-inclusive. It's not everything that we're working on, but just some of the high-level activity. And the report aims to increase communication and transparency that helps support the great work that we're all doing. I'm going to go ahead and let's see, we're going to click on this tab here, and then it's this first report at the very top for March. So I have the report open here, and I'll just briefly go through this report to just share a few highlights. The first thing I'll mention is that if you have missed any of the V3 implementation calls, you can always find those calls on this report, but they're also available on the website as well. And I know that sometimes you all may think, why are we taking attendance for these calls? Well, we want to ensure that we give proper credit for the software vendors that are attending. And we also just basically take account of the number of attendees. So you can see here for March 11th and the 25th, we had 130 people on the call. I would like to consider these people as the in the know folks, because if you're on these calls, then you're hearing everything that's going on related to NEMSIS TAC activities. I also wanted to mention that we had a fantastic public training in March by Dr. Brian Wilson and Cherie Murphy, both from the NEMSQA, the National EMS Quality Alliance. And that information is also available on the NEMSIS website, but here's a link to it for easy access. And then the last thing, or the third thing I'll mention on this first page, has to do with the movement of the PUD, the public use data sets. We initially created a new tab for those data sets. However, they are now better aligned with other research data requests, and so they can be found under the Using EMS Data tab that's on the NEMSIS website. If I continue through this report, I think I'll mention that we have the number of 351 PCRs are coming in at a great rate. We are increasing the number of those PCRs in the research, or sorry, in the warehouse, and the number of agencies submitting 351 data is increasing as well. One thing I wanted to also mention is the Okta user accounts. We realize that you may not log into the dashboards on a regular basis, but we are asking if you could at least try to log in maybe once a month. The current setting is for the passwords to be locked if after 60 days there is no activity. And then also after 60 days or every 60 days, you should change your password or the account will be locked. And we're just tightening up controls, tightening up security as it relates to the data that you all submit to us. One other thing I'll mention about the report, I wanted to let you know that currently the software vendors that are being tested, the majority of them are testing for 351. And so both the information for 350 and 351 compliant software vendors is available on the website. But the report this month really just reflects those that are in 351. I wanted to present a cleaner look for the report. And so I've only included the 351 compliant vendors. However, 350 compliant vendors are also available on the website. So if you have any questions about anything related to this report, please feel free to reach out. We definitely want to hear your suggestions for improvement or inclusion. And as always, you can submit a help desk ticket to make those requests. If you have any questions, let us know. We'd be happy to address those questions as well. Thank you all and have a great rest of your day. All right, back to you, Casey.
All right, Monet, thank you very much for that. Always appreciate it. Next up, we have Josh Nation with the 352 update and polling results. So Josh, take it away, please.
Thank you very much, Casey. Yeah, today I just wanted to make sure everybody had a chance to take a look and see where we currently stand on the voting results for the 352 change request. So I'm just going to quickly go through here. Just another reminder that we have until Friday, May 8th. That is the cutoff date to cast your vote for these items. Let us know if you have any comments, questions, and also if there's anything that you don't see in this list that you're looking to try to move through a little faster. Before this date, please feel free to reach out to me directly via my email that's on screen there, josh.nation@hsc.utah.edu. So the first one that we had was the data comment, NEMPUB 780. And again, today I'm just going to show you a current results of where they're at. And it looks like right now that's at 65% yes, 12% needs more work, and 24% no. As a reminder, you will see that you can vote in the top right, though today I'm just trying to showcase those results for you. However, in that spreadsheet that was sent out to everybody, you can vote in line with that. You can also set up time with me if you'd like to go through any of these in greater detail. The next item that we had up is the update to the UUID data constraint pattern. So with that one, that's NIMPUB 785, and the voting currently stands right now at 31% yes, 69% needs more work, and we've got nothing on the no side. Moving forward, we've got NIMPUB 786, which was the new element, and this is where we're going to see that grouping of several new elements to align with allowing the full legal name. So NIMPUB 786, if we look at that one, sorry for the mouse is a little touchy there, 58% yes, 42% no. And then again, we're going to see several related fields here. We've got the new element insured name suffix, and that's NIMPUB 787. Right now, the voting is at 62%. Yes, we've got 4% needs more work and 35% for no. Along the same lines, we've got new element for the signature middle name. And on that one, we're at 67%. And we've only got 33% on the no side of things. Let's see if that's going. The signature suffix. And with that one, it looks like we're at 65%. So all of these are very similar in terms of numbers because, of course, they're all very related in terms of the ask. So 63%, 38% for no. Next, we've got the NIMPUB 792. And this one was to update the sagency.04 so we could improve the mapping behind the scenes. That one is set at 72% yes, only 4% on needs more work and 24% no. And moving down, we had the ask, I'm sorry for that. We had the ask NIMPUB 788, and this one was in addition to the numerical values, do we need to add a high and low when we have something such as hypothermia? And it looks like the consensus right now is there's 50% for the no, only 33 for yes, 17 for needs more work. Next, we had the add the NIMPUB 798, which is to enhance or add the apartment, room, and suite across the board beyond just the dispatch side of things. And so this would bring it into all the other affected areas. Right now it's at 63% yes. And we've got a 37% no. So looks like so far everyone's leaning towards yes. The next one that we have is NIMPUB 812. And so this is to change allow us to have a more consistent logic to align with the coded values. So it just changes the floor value of the decimals that can be used to accommodate a wider range there. And with that one, we've got 82% yes, 17% no. We had the ask NIMPUB 813, which is deprecate one of the values within E airway 04, which was the condensation in tube. And voting so far, it looks like the majority is saying that they want the no, don't deprecate it. 57% say no, 30% said yes, and 13% said needs more work. Next were some new elements in the record, NIMPUB 814, and this was to add some contact information on the software side of things. We already had the software information. This was to add a contact name, contact email, and phone. And it looks like the majority right now are sitting at 80% for no, only 16% yes, and 4% needs more work. We had the new blood administration documents or fields, I'm sorry. And so with that one, overwhelming yes, we've got 70%, 77 as we're talking right now. It looks like it just went up. So we've got on the yes side and only 23% on needs more work, 0 for no. And then finally, the last one that we had was NIMPUB 829, and that is the data pattern constraint update for the R codes in October 2025. There was an update to ICD-10. It was causing issue with the codes that are listed there on the screen around flank. pain, and this would update that alphanumeric pattern to allow those codes to go through successfully. And if we look on this side, it looks like overwhelming yes, 91% at yes, only 9% needs more work. And that would be it from my side. So we are good to stop my share, Casey. I didn't see any questions, so I'm going to go ahead and send it back to you.
All right, thank you for that, Josh. Yeah, it's looking like we got pretty good consensus on a lot of those. It's great. All right, next then we will move on, if there's no questions, to Randall, who is going to be covering three different topics, the NASEMSO update, violence against EMS update, and also national custom elements. So Randall, if you are ready.
Looks like we've got a question from Karen. Can we allow her to unmute? Just 1 second, Karen.
This is actually the previous section. So last meeting during the image trend section, we were talking about a couple of the revision requests, and in that breakout room, and I can't remember right now which change request it was, but a bunch of us didn't understand what was being requested, and we asked that it be clarified in another meeting because some of us would have changed our votes. And that would then be the secondary question. If we voted already, and I assume there's no way to retract our vote, we would just have to vote again. Is that how it would work?
You can vote again, or Karen, you can always reach out to me via contact information. I can change that from my side if needed. And
Great.
then, as prefaced before, we always can meet if you need to talk about any of these things. There were a couple that were pulled out because they were flagged that people needed more information, and so we have pulled them out currently. For that reason, there was one on the stroke reoccurrence that we pulled for that very reason.
All right, great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And then it looks like there was a question in terms of the cutoff. So the cutoff right now is the date side of things. In terms of the value, we're looking at the cutoff date to see if there are more yeses than no. So it essentially has to get to that. And it looks like, Clay, you have a comment?
Yeah, Josh, just a quick mention. As folks may or may not know, the NEMSIS TAC held kind of a special 1 hour presentation by Josh where he walked through some of the specifics associated with some of these changes. Karen's point is well taken, right? Some of these are pretty technical. For example, the change to UUID, right? There's been a change to the national standard associated with the use of a universally unique ID, and people have voted often, right, that it needs more work. And I think what they're saying, right, is they need to understand better what will change about the UID. So Josh, if we continue to hear these types of questions, maybe we could hold another just kind of a special Q&A time, no, excuse me, where folks could maybe come online with us and ask questions and see if we can answer them for them. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, this month, we have been flagging all of the quarterly meetings to do a deep dive on these. And yes, absolutely. Always happy to set an additional meeting if people would like to kind of dig into these and into the details. I love that. So just we can definitely put something together.
Josh, it looks like there's another question in the chat.
All right. Originally, when you discussed the stroke scale, when to many it seemed like it was needed, had it been removed entirely as requested change? No, it's not been removed entirely. There were several people or several groups when we went through the detail that said that it needed a deeper look. So we've not pulled anything out so much as some things, if they're flagged by the various groups or individuals, we want to make sure that everybody has a chance to take another look and go deeper on it. So no, nothing would be an instant pull off. It just means that we're going to circle the wagons on it and look at it deeper.
All right, I think that's it for questions now. Thank you again, Josh, for that. And as he said, if anyone has any further questions, didn't get answered here, or maybe if you just don't want to post your question here, that's totally okay. Please reach out to Josh, reach out to myself, or anyone else on the tech, and we're happy to get you some answers and assist. All right, Randall, I think we're ready for you now. So if you are ready, please take it away.
Casey, are you sharing my screen?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So first update is just about the NASEMSO update. There we go. Sort of our last call here for the 2026 NASEMSO annual meeting. It is in Kansas City, Missouri. The council committee agendas are being posted as they're being completed. I do know the trauma managers and the data managers are both up there. QR code will lead you straight to the registration page. I do know there was a lot of states who were still waiting to get approval to travel, and I believe last week there was a big spike in the amount of attendees who had registered. So for the data manager specifically, once again, we have posted our annual meeting agenda to the NASEMSO website. It'll be a great meeting, a lot of data manager work. We're also NEMSIS TAC will be there to present, and Josh Lego will also present for us on interoperability. Outcome data guidance. So the data manager has been working really hard on getting these guidance documents out. We have one more additional meeting before an NASEMSO annual meeting. We're very close to sort of getting like a final draft out there with the anticipation of finalizing it at the annual meeting. And then lastly, extended data definitions. DMC members have worked very hard kind of behind the scenes, filling out surveys, completing the questions and the data elements with the field values. We have some edits to complete. We're going to have a big survey during the annual meeting to kind of like yes, no's, keep these words, change this, and just to make sure it all aligns appropriately. So we should have finalized version 3.5.0 completed, and then 3.5.1 should be following very closely behind it. Next update is against the violence against EMS personnel. Yesterday, really good training on the violence against EMS personnel. The training did go a little bit longer than we were hoping for. Very detailed about each of the violence data elements. Once again, once that training is posted, we'll be able to make an announcement. I know that Chris Hoffman has a little bit of work to do before he gets that posted. I do just want to make one last reminder on where to find the spreadsheet or for the data dictionary. I did make a few corrections to it, and that was uploaded the other day on specifically the field value that we've been talking, or I'm sorry, the data element we've been talking a lot about, the E-other 06. I did note, or the type of work-related injury, death, or suspected exposure. I did not have the field values in there on the spreadsheet the same way we have it on the in the data dictionary. So I did add those, and I also noticed that struck by vehicle along the roadway was not a field value within that. So those were both updated. It is the current one is on the website under the Violence Against EMS Personnel Data Dictionary. The other thing that you will notice is one of the tabs that used to say sheet 1, it now says the HAS data set. The companion document that was very closely aligned with the training yesterday, we're working through its final stages, the formatting, and we were preparing to get that loaded onto the website here very shortly. So any questions about the violence against EMS personnel? And then, Casey, for the custom data elements, I am still kind of working with Josh Legler on just a few questions that he has. I was delayed getting a response back to him, but we should start to see those posted up to the NEMSIS website very soon. So they're very close to being completed, and these were for the CPMIH custom data elements. Any questions for me?
All right, very good, Randall. Thank you. Doesn't look like we have any questions or raised hands. So we will move on then. Mr. Jeremy Kinsman with updates from the Office of EMS, federal grant announcements, and also pre-hospital blood announcement. Jeremy, are you ready?
Yes. I think I'll keep it brief today. You know, we had that extended presentation from GAM and Max in our office on SS4A. So I think I'll just mention we should have a regarding NEMSAC or National EMS Advisory Council. We should have an update. I'm hoping sometime soon about members for that, and we'll also be detailing when meetings will be taking place. So stay tuned for that. I don't have any additional updates on FICOMs. Regarding the grant opportunities, I'll just mention one additional thing regarding SS4A, or a few additional things. You know, I think folks are probably aware that money is that locals, municipalities are the ones that are eligible for that funding. So our state office of EMS are not eligible, but our states, we want to make sure that our states, as they have time and are able, are making sure that the EMS agencies that operate within their jurisdictions are aware of the opportunity. Tribal nations are also eligible. And as GAM and Max kind of described, you know, this public health infrastructure that's now being prioritized, including pre-hospital blood, emergency medical dispatch, interoperability. You know, if your local EMS agencies, your locals are tapping into those funds and are using it to help improve their systems, especially when it comes to data interoperability, that is going to benefit you at the state level. So we would really encourage our state partners to make sure that their local agencies are aware of these opportunities. I think this is a good opportunity for our vendors as well. So, you know, vendors partnering with their local EMS agencies to put together a grant to help them, improve interoperability, improve connection with the HIE, or can improve connection with hospitals. That's really important, and that's a big opportunity. So I think there's an opportunity for us to. This is crash specific, right? This is about crash safety, but to use this opportunity, leverage this opportunity to help us improve our EMS systems more broadly. That's really what I think we can do here. Because if you use this funding to help under the guise of kind of crash safety or improving crash outcomes, to establish improvements to your data systems, that's going to benefit the rest of your system as well. So it looks like Max came on camera real quick. I don't know if you have anything that you want to add, Max.
I was just going to add, for people to understand the context of the program, it is sometimes challenging for non-transportation partners to understand what the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant program is. But what I would clarify is that the main goal of the program is to create comprehensive safety action plans for highway safety in local regional municipalities. There are two types of grant awards. One of them is planning and demonstration, and another is implementation. In terms of the planning and demonstration awards, you might have a local municipality who does not have a comprehensive plan addressing traffic safety. And they might apply for funds under SS4A to have funds to support creation of a plan, but also supplemental planning and demonstration projects to supplement creation of that comprehensive safety action plan. And that's where we've seen examples of entities apply for things like data improvement, data analysis, health information exchange, to create a pilot project to implement strategies in traffic safety improvement or traffic safety data improvement to inform and improve the overarching local plan to address highway safety. On our level, we understand that improvements of that are going to cascade down to all other types of problems and issues that we in EMS and 911 address. But really, The focus of this program is highway safety planning and demonstration and implementation of highway safety strategies to address injury prevention on roadway crashes. But it is a open program. We really encourage people to take a look at it. It's not a difficult application. These planning and demonstration grant awards are 2 to 3 page applications. It's easier than you think. There may also be regional or local partners that you have that already actually have a plan that has been awarded under SS4A. That doesn't mean they can't participate or even request additional funds, because those plans, as they are developed, might not have very strong data improvement in sort of the post-crash care realm. So we really encourage you to reach out to your local partners and ask them to take a look at the program, see if they've got people already working on an SS4A award, and there's opportunities there.
Thanks, Max. Casey, we've got questions. It looks like Clay's got his hand up. Go ahead, Clay.
Yeah, Jeremy, great discussion. With the data managers here, Jeremy, maybe it would be worth just kind of filling them in regards to the conversations that you're having within the states with the state EMS directors and their potential requests for data, just to keep them in the loop.
Yeah, sure. So our office has been reaching out to state offices of EMS, to the state EMS director and the state medical director, and has been setting up 30-minute calls with them, making sure that they're aware of the SS4A opportunity for FY26, and particularly pointing out, hey, there is language now in this grant that is prioritizing post-crash care, pre-hospital blood, public safety infrastructure. And so we want to make sure that they're aware. We're encouraging those officials from the state offices to, make sure their local EMS agencies are aware of the opportunity, and to kind of encourage them to apply, encourage them to reach out to organizations that may already have a planning and demonstration grant in place, as Max mentioned. One of the things that we have been doing with Clay and the team at the NEMSIS TAC is looking at parts of the country that have a comparatively high burden of motor vehicle crash patients who could benefit from pre-hospital blood. And we have been internally just looking at that information. And as we have had calls with state directors and state medical directors, we have been, pointing that out to them and saying, if you are interested in receiving kind of aggregate county level data that shows that that illustrates, that shows where those sorry, let me rephrase that. We have been mentioning to them the data that we've been looking at internally, and have been mentioning to them, we're happy to share this with you, since you're the state office of EMS who sends this data up to NEMSIS. So after we've been having with these calls, we're going to be emailing them, connecting them, the state EMS medical director, the state director, and the state data managers, and saying, here's the team at the NEMSIS TAC. They're happy to provide you with this county level aggregate information that they've calculated. And so we're happy to provide more details, I think, about the data definition that we've used to do that. I think I may have mentioned before, but essentially what the team at the TAC has done under our direction from the NHTSA office of EMS has been to take the Pre-Hospital Blood Transfusion Coalition's clinical practice guideline and translate that into a data definition using the structured data elements that we capture at the national level. So we're looking at patients in an age-adjusted way or an age-informed way. We're looking at patients who either have been involved in a crash and have an elevated heart rate, so tachycardia and low blood pressure, hypertension, or an abnormally high shock index. And then they also have to meet a secondary criteria. They either have to have a fast respiratory rate or a GCS less than 13, excluding patients that have suspected head injury or intoxication, or they have to have an end-tidal CO2 less than 25. So that's kind of the data definition that we put together so far. We're continuing, we've done some sensitivity, the TAC has done some sensitivity and specificity testing to ensure that that's accurate. We're continuing to look at ways that we can build out that definition to include all trauma patients and medical patients as well. That's something that I know the TAC is working on, putting together some resources and tools and manuscripts to kind of describe the work that they've done in that space. But that's essentially what we're doing. We're going to be reaching out to the states. Our office at NHTSA will be reaching out to the states, holding these meetings, and then offering to kind of share this county level aggregate information with them coming from the TAC, if it would be of help to them. And of course, they'll have to approve, the states will have to approve that the TAC can release their data back to them. So thanks for bringing that up, Clay. Anything that you want to add, Clay, that I misstated, or anything you want to clarify, or any questions that folks have?
Well, for me, Jeremy, that was a great description.
Thank you, Jeremy. And yeah, we just had a question asking for the link, but it looks like someone had shared a link for that grant, so I think we're good there. So,
all right, back to you, Casey. Thanks.
All right, thank you. All right, just a reminder of some upcoming meetings. We have the next V3 call will be Wednesday, April 22nd at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And the next upcoming public training will be May 5th, which is Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. So give an opportunity quick for open forum before we head to our breakout rooms. If anyone has anything else they'd like to bring up, any questions that they didn't get a chance to ask, any other information they would like to provide, please raise your hand if you would like. All right, not seeing anything. All right, so breakout rooms, reminder, this is a green week. Excuse me. Just remember, if go to your proper breakout room. If you're a vendor, please don't go to other vendors' rooms. Keep the conversation civil, respectful. If you need to screen share anything, ask the room moderator and they'll try to assist you. Otherwise, Chris, if you have breakout rooms ready, I think we're ready to move on. And thank you again, everyone, for attending today. We appreciate everyone showing up. For all those that presented today, thank you as well. A lot of great information, a lot to take home and back to all our partners.